What is going on, everyone? It's Ultimate Spy 53 here, and welcome to another episode of Reviewed number 115. And today, I'm going to be reviewing the movie V for Vendetta. So what did I think of V for Vendetta? I really liked it. I thought it was really interesting. I just thought it was really interesting. It had a really complex plot. It reminded me of, if you've ever seen the Zorro movies, the Mask of Zorro and the Legend of Zorro, it kind of had that same idea, different costume of course, but it was a similar idea, and I probably will get around to reviewing those movies eventually, but I think these were definitely, they reminded me of the Zorro movies, because of the, the knives and the hat and the, maybe not necessarily the mask, but like he had a mask in that movie, but like a different kind of mask. And so I like that. I think that was really, really cool, how the setting of the movie. I don't actually know what year it was set in. I think it was like the modern day London, which I like. Most of the movie was set in London. In fact, that was like the primary setting. I don't think it was ever like set in another place, but like London was mainly in. It was a lot of well-known actors who were in it, like John Hurt, one of my favorite British actors, who had unfortunately passed away back in last January. There was Rupert Graves, he's known for playing Detective Inspector Lestrade in Sherlock. There was other ones. I can't really think of all of them on the top of my head, but there were a lot of them. There were people like Stephen Fry was in it. Yeah, I didn't really recognize all of them, but there were quite a few of them there. That was really cool. Natalie Portman was in it. She played, I think it was Evie, not the Pokemon. Like the actual, that's her name, Evie, with a Y, I think it was. And she was this young woman who, I guess the actress had to pull off a British accent, and wow, she did a really good job with that. You'd think that certain actors who are from different countries, they can't pull off British accents, but with little training, they actually do a pretty good job. So I was surprised by that. That was something that I was like, oh my god, she does a really good job with acting, because normally that's something she does, because she sounds American, but she's actually Israeli. I think she's Israel. I don't know exactly, but she sounds, I think she's like born in Israel, but like raised in America. I don't know exactly, but she plays a young woman who, and beginning of the movie, like in Jordan movie, she has this, not curly hair, more like a bushy. It's very bushy, very tangled, and unfortunately, towards the end, all the hair comes off, which I actually didn't see that coming, because I saw like a screenshot from the movie, like, oh, she gets her hair cut off. Okay, that's cool. I guess whatever. And also the main character of the movie is V. I don't think it's ever actually told what the. Well, I think it's William Redberg or not. It's William is the first name. I don't know exactly if his last name. I can't remember exactly. I have to look it up, but. He's played by Hugo Weaving. The only thing I didn't like about this movie is the fact that Hugo Weaving's character, V, does not actually, he doesn't show his face, because, he explains in the movie that it was a fire, and that's why his hands are scarred, and probably his face is scarred too, is because he can't take it off. He literally, that's his protection. It's kind of like, if you think about like in Deadpool, he has to wear a mask in order to hide his face. Unlike there are some people who like his girlfriend, who don't mind him having a burned up face, and so he has to protect his face. So same thing for Vendetta is that, V. I don't know why they call the movie V for Vendetta, but it's V, and he has to wear a Guy Fawkes mask. Guy Fawkes masks essentially are these weird ass masks that are basically resemble a forever smiling face, like pink dots or whatever, and then like I don't know, thick eyebrows, and then like a goatee. It's really a strange mask. It's really wild. And then of course, he also wears a black wig and a cape and swords. So it kind of like reminds you of Zorro, because he does that a lot. He wears a hat and sword. He has a sword and everything, and a mask. But he's not the same idea. It's the same idea kind of, but it's different scenario here. But he was played by Hugo Weaving. You don't actually see his face. Unfortunately, that's one thing I didn't like about. I'm like, why didn't I get to see his face? Like, I would have thought that by the movie we were gonna see his face, but no, we didn't see his face. But yeah, I did think that it was a really good movie. I thought it was too long. I thought that the 2 hour and 12 minute runtime that it was too long. I think it would have done a lot better if it was like maybe an hour and a half. I mean, the 2 hours is just way too long. None of the movies, I mean, a lot of the movies that are coming up for my review show here are going to be 2 hours or something like that. 2 hours or more is going to be insane, and I just feel like that's way too much time for a movie to go on for. And unless it's entertaining like Infinity War, well, that movie would, affected 2.5 hours. I didn't really feel like it was that. It felt way more or less because it was the fact that it was so much fun to watch. And so for this movie, I just felt it was more interesting and sad and adventurous and amazing, and I just feel like to come back from it, I just feel like it was a much different movie that I normally watch. I don't really watch these kind of movies at all. Like the kind of I watch things like Arrow, things involving vigilantes, but like I don't watch things like this. I think the only other movie to really compare this to would be the Zorro movies, because they had two of them, and those movies were pretty good. I haven't seen them in a while, but they were decent. I thought they were really good, so I'll probably end up doing a review of them again, like I said. And with this movie, it was very interesting because it follows, the journey of this young woman played by Natalie Portman, who is a Brit, because the movie is set in London, so that's basically the idea of the movie, is that it's mainly set in London. So you have this part of the movie, you have this kind of like Nazi kind of character, like a Nazi kind of thing, where you have John Hart's character, who, boy, he is a good actor. Like, if you've seen him in other movies or television shows, he is one of the best actors you'd see. And unfortunately, he died, but while he was still living, he was an amazing actor, and he still was an amazing actor. Like, he does not fail to act. He's just really good, and so that was really cool. But yeah, I definitely feel like the journey that Evie takes in this movie was very interesting. She's in a very interesting place. She doesn't know, how to feel about things, and she, encounters people that she doesn't know she should trust or whatever, and her head gets shaved later in the movie, and we see V being a badass character, and I think eventually we actually see him without his wig on or whatever, and weirdly enough that most of a lot of the Londoners always did Guy Fawkes masks on, which are actually really strange. Yeah, that was a very weird part about the movie, but I liked that. It had a lot of familiar faces in it, and a lot of. I have never been to London, so seeing London again, it was really cool. I like that. So, but also I think that some really real parts of the movie that really stood out to me were like the music stuff like that. When V is blowing up some of the places in London to create music, that was crazy. I think overall he's an insane character. He just does not realize it yet, and he watches this I feel like it's from the 50s, like this old classic movie involving swords and stuff, where he thinks it's very movie. I think it's the Count of Monte Cristo is the movie, and I don't know what year that came out, but it was a long time ago, and it was a very old movie, and I don't know, exactly what it's about or whatever, but he watches that and it's crazy. But I also think that the evolution of Evie's character is very similar to the evolution of Valor, who's a character we learn about in the movie, that when Evie is thrown in jail because I guess she won't tell the location of Evie. Yeah, V is the character. She gets her head shaved, and because of that, you're so used to seeing her with long, not really curly, but very, bushy hair. It's more like bushy, more like Hermione hair, but very bushy. I think that maybe at the beginning it was kind of felt curly, but it's very much like a bushy hairstyle, like Hermione. And so when we see her have that hair, it's just so different. And then she starts reading these letters from Valerie, who came with the same fate. But in this case, she had a thing where she was taken from her girlfriend because apparently I think it's discovered that she's actually a lesbian, which is interesting, I think, because I watched Supergirl, so there's already a lesbian couple that's been a thing already, but I just felt like it was interesting to see that happen and see how a parent would react on stuff. But I definitely think it was interesting. I felt it was interesting how she has the same fate as Valerie, and we don't actually see Valerie, and then it's called painting or whatever. You don't see Valor in the flesh like in person. Well, technically we do. We see Valor with her full head of hair again when all the Guy Fawkes masks wearing people, they unveil themselves, and for some reason I don't know whether they're wearing masks anymore, but they unveil themselves, and basically they're all the people who all the Londoners, and she's included. I don't know what happened to her, but it was really interesting. But I definitely think it was a very, very good movie. It definitely has that British vibe to it. I think it's mainly a British cast. I think Hugo Weaving is he's Australian English born, or English born Australian. I don't know. I think he's from Britain, but he's Australian. I can't remember. It's confusing, but he was. I felt like when I watching the movie, it felt like Elrond playing V, because he has that one of those voices where you recognize him from this one movie, like, oh, I know him as Elrond from Lord of the Rings, and that was the only thing I could see him as, because I can't see him as anything else. I mean, he played the Red Skull in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the first Avenger, and that was the only thing I've seen him in other than Lord of the Rings. Well, aside from like the Matrix and stuff like that, but when I was watching the movie, I'm like, it feels like Elrond is behind the mask. I wonder if it's like, oh, you have other mask. Oh no, it's actually Elrond. Oh my god, who knew? Kind of thing. But yeah, I liked it. I liked his character. I think he was a very interesting character. I think it definitely especially when you're wearing a mask. It's harder to express yourself when you're wearing a mask, because you can't really express, especially when the mask just shows you smiling. It's kind of a little weird. But he's definitely an interesting character. He's kind of like Zorro a little bit, where he kills people. Like, he does that. He has it for his own reason to do it, but like he's doing it for a reason. But definitely combines, like, not I guess mysterious fantasy with or dark fantasy, I guess, with modern day, because you have like computers and all that stuff, and then like V has his home, and it's just amazing. I think that both V and Evie are very interesting characters. Because they have to learn to trust each other. They don't really understand how each other work and all that stuff, and it's just. I think it's a very interesting film. I think it was a very wonderful movie, and it was long. I would tell you, it is a long movie, but it's also a very complex plot, and it has a very interesting story to tell, and there's all these amazing actors in it. I think the actors really do a good job with it, because I found it interesting, because also I can't keep comparing this to Zorro, because I've seen Zorro before, but I'll do a review of it later. But with when you compare V with Zorro, they both have very similar things. Like they both they both form a letter on when they're marking their thing. Like Zorro forms a Z, V forms a V, which is funny. It's just like it's an interesting little aspect. Also, V in general, he's a very interesting character, because when you first meet him, he talks like it's like the script has some kind of magical touch on it, where it's just like it's honestly one of the best scripts I've heard. Like, but aside from Lord of the Rings, it's one of the best scripts I've heard. I mean, I don't really usually care about the script, but like when I was hearing what he was saying, it felt like it was a poem. I'm not even kidding. It was like a poem. It was literally like that. And so when I heard it for the first time, it was like he was saying most of his words with like V's. I mean, like one won't always be, but like it was. Mainly, I was hearing V's, and I was like, it was like words that start with V. It was like, wow, who wrote this? This is amazing. It's amazing. It's honestly such a really cool thing, and I don't know if I can feel like being a badass, and especially when he dies. That is a sad moment. It's just a very sad moment. I can't really think of anything else to say about that movie. It was a very, for me personally, because I don't really watch these kind of movies. It was very, very different. Like, it was a very unusual movie that I've never seen before. I hadn't seen it before at all, and it kind of goes with the number this episode's tied to 115, 11/15, which is the 5th of November. A friend of mine was telling me I should review this for 115, because that's when it'll be kind of a reference there. So I still liked it. I think it was very well done. I think that the actors did a good job. I think that Hugo Weaving did a fantastic job as V. I also didn't know that it was based off a DC comic. It was actually a graphic novel, and it was like when I first saw the opening credits, I'm like, wait, DC? It's a comic book movie? Well, technically, yes. It's based off of a graphic novel, but it's like the first time I've ever seen a non-superhero comic book movie. I mean, technically, you could count him as a superhero, but he's not really a superhero. Like, a vigilante is a different superhero. Like, he doesn't rely on powers. He relies on skill, basically, and, being a badass and all that stuff. So basically, he's a superhero in his own right, but, like, he doesn't have powers. He just, like, he uses sword and badass, or if you want to call it that, and just overall amazingness to win his battle, essentially. And so he does that, and it's amazing, and I think it's just a great thing. I definitely will say this thing about Evie. She was played amazingly by Natalie Portman. Like, everyone seems like not trust Natalie Portman movies anymore. She's like, oh, why it's a movie with Natalie Portman now. I'll pass, kind of thing. It's like kind of like you kind of start with Star Wars, and you go to other movies like that, and it's like I think ever since Star Wars, people have just been hating on Natalie Portman. It's like she's a great actor. She's amazing. She's gorgeous. She's a wonderful actress. She does a really good job, especially with a British accent. That's a really good British accent. Like I definitely think that if someone was to ask me if she's from Britain, I would be able to say no, because you can definitely tell that that's Natalie Portman's voice. You can definitely tell that she's not a British actress, but she does a really good job with pulling off a British accent. And I definitely think that she transforms differently. Like she goes from this young woman with bushy hair, because I describe her as that because she has very much Hermione hair, to I think it was at this point in the movie where they go to a church, or this kind of like I don't know, like a cathedral kind of thing. I know of it, and so like I think it's some kind of like big church thing, like a cathedral. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this stuff, but like basically she come across this bishop who is someone who of high rank in the church business, and so he like I guess almost tries to seduce her, and I think the idea is that V sets her up to be theatrical, like act basically. Like can you I want you to do some acting for me. I want you to be theatrical, and so he dresses up her in like a tutu, some eyeshadow, makeup, all that stuff, hair, really really pretty hair, and it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. Like it's like a really weird transformation to have her go from that to regular to like basically a prisoner, essentially, where she's like starving and weak and all that stuff, and then like it's terrifyingly horrible, but like I just think it's interesting. I think it's a very interesting idea, and I liked it. I think that was very interesting. I don't know what else to say about the movie. I just think it was very interesting. I didn't nitpick a whole lot of it. I thought it was very very unusual, because especially for V, who that's one thing I didn't like about the movie was the fact that he wouldn't take off his mask. There was points in the movie where I'm like, was he gonna take off his mask? Is he gonna take off his mask? Nope. And he does not end up taking off his mask. I think the only time I'll actually technically see him without his mask is when he's that William dude. I don't know what his last name is. I can't remember the last name. I know it was in the movie, but I can't remember what it was. But essentially, that's what he's doing. He's just doing that. And but it is interesting. It's definitely very, very interesting. I definitely liked it. I think it was a very I don't know. It's hard to explain this movie, but it was very fun. I think it was wild. It was long. It was it told a good story. It was the London aspect of it. I love London. I've never been to the place before, but I love it. And so seeing that in place, because most of the film was in London. That was like the main place of it, and I just thought that was cool. That was very cool that they had a one setting thing. I felt like it was maybe a Brit. I don't know if it was or not, but like I don't know. It was very fun. It was well done. It was very well done, and I think it had a good story. So that's all I can say about the movie. I don't really have anything else to say about it. Or that it was very good. I think Hugo Weaving, he did a really good job as V. Like I said, I haven't read the comic book, or the graphic novel, but I definitely can say that it's a good adaptation. I've never read the book, I never read the graphic novel. I think it's if I had, it would have been a very good adaptation. I don't know what it got on RT, but it's a really good movie. I don't know what to say about it, but yeah, V for Vendetta, very excellent movie. It was very, very long. It did not need to be that long, though. I will say it did not need to be over that ridiculously long movie. But still, even then, it was wonderful, and I definitely recommend it. Yeah, so that's all I can say. So yeah, as well for giving this a rating, I would give it a 8 out of 10, mainly because of the fact that I didn't like how the how his arc ended in the movie, because he had like this it was mainly about him, so it's like how his story ended. I didn't like how his story ended because we never really get to see who he is, and I think there's a reason for that, because it's kind of like Deadpool, where you don't want to see his face because his face is all scarred and everything, and it's like, oh, it's horrible to look at. I just feel like it would have been better. I would have liked that. I would have liked him to have his face revealed, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So that's something I was disappointed with, but still, I enjoyed it. I definitely thought it was entertaining. It was like I'm engrossed in it. I was watching, and I kept like being entertained by it. It was one of the movies where you watch it and it's just like it's so entertaining that you don't really realize how long it's been since you watched it, and it's like, oh my god, like I would go check, like I think it was like less than an hour, and I would check back like, oh, I haven't even watched an hour of it. Like, wow, that's insane. It's very interesting. But yeah, all the actors did a good job. I think it was fantastic, and that's why, because of the fact that V didn't reveal himself, I think it should deserve an 8 out of 10. I'm just not gonna have 2 points right there, because I didn't like the fact that we didn't get to see his face. I would have liked to see his face, but still, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. So anyway, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Reviewed. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. I really do appreciate support. And, if you're new to this channel, subscribe for more episodes of this series and other series I do, as well as other great content. And we'll be back next time with another episode. Alright? See ya.